Hello, neighbor. I'm Robert Burns, and welcome once again to another edition of Sound Off Louisiana. It's my distinct honor and pleasure to have with me my guest, Sister Khadijha, here. And let me just explain very briefly how she and I came into contact with one another. Last week on Tuesday, myself and Sister Belinda Parker Brown were guests on Brother Carl Nelson's show. Now, he has a radio station in Baltimore, Maryland, but there are also about 8 sister affiliates covering the D.C. area. And we went on to discuss Carl Cavalier. Everyone is familiar with the Carl Cavalier matter and brought up to speed on it. And so Brother Nelson contacted Brother Jay, who is the other half of the tag team of Sister Khadijha and Brother Jay. And they have over both the radio and as well as the public access Cox Cable Chip 15 here in Lafayette, and we were the guest on that show. And Sister Khadijha was introduced to Sound Off Louisiana, and she said, "Look, I've got a little bit of sounding off I'd like to do." And I said, "Well, it would be our pleasure." So she has graciously invited me into her home today, and so I'm going to turn it over to you, Sister Khadijha, and occasionally I may go behind the camera to zoom in on some photos you've got, so let everyone know what's on your mind today.
Well, what's on my mind today is the fact that we have so much ills that's going on in society, but mostly what's dealing within our local municipalities. You have the Iberia Parish Sheriff, who Sheriff Romero is the head of, and they recently purchased a new facility for the deputies, for all of their employees, and from that new facility, it costs between $1.6 million and $1.7 million. We had the chance to go to the opening ceremonies, and when I say magnificent, I mean completely magnificent. And as a matter of fact, the parish president, Mr. Larry Richard, stated that, "Oh, this is all paid for. They don't owe nothing on it." Mind you, $1.6 to $1.7 million, and half of the furnitures was already in the building, so they didn't have to pay all out their ways for the new furniture. And I bring that up because of the simple fact that here in Iberia Parish, we have a lot of unsolved murders here in Iberia Parish. We also have the jail, the facility that's right there off on Broken Arrow Road. Is despicable. People have complained about it, but there's never any money, any resources to rectify it. I have some pictures of mold. Well, it's on my phone, but I don't know.
And she's graciously provided us at Sound Off Louisiana with copies of those photos, and we're going to put them in the Sound Off feature just beneath this video, so you'll actually be able to see exactly what she's referencing on these photos with regard to the extensive mold that is apparently in the facility.
Yes, and that's black mold. That's very dangerous. Mind you, some people that are incarcerated, they only there until they go to trial. That does not mean that they're criminals or anything, but at the same time, you just about going to go ahead and mess up their lungs, mess up everything. So it's just about a death sentence.
Okay. And I know that's one of your biggest concerns, and like I said, we are going to post those photographs that you graciously provided Sound Off Louisiana with just beneath this video, and you can form your own opinions.
Yes.
I think the photos kind of speak for themselves, but she's not just whistling in the dark on this. She provided the evidence. We always like to see that at Sound Off. We like to see the evidence to back up what someone is claiming, and she graciously provided it. So, yes. What else is on your mind?
Well, what else is on my mind is the fact that we have deputies that are in charge of, deputies that are in charge to bring inmates, prisoners, to court and everything like that. And there's been several occasions whereas the the people came to court, and then from court they didn't know they was gonna get arrested, but they decided to run. A few of the officers, or should I say, Officer Khan, he can't run. However, he's in charge of those deputies. So all we're trying to say is that not the fact that he's morbidly obese, but the fact of the matter is that why isn't it that he don't have him a desk job, because it's apparent that he cannot fully qualified to hold that position, when indeed you got to wait for somebody else to come to do your job.
I understand. Well, that's a very, and I see you have some photos that you brought here today.
Yeah, and I have some more. Yeah, well, I'm gonna give you a copy of this, but then what I wanted to show is that.
And I'm gonna step behind the camera.
Okay.
I'm gonna zoom in. And get.
What I wanted to show is that we have a list of police brutality that's been going on in Iberia Parish, with the local sheriff, the sheriffs that was disbanded. This young man is Michael Antoine. Michael was beaten up by the Iberia Parish Sheriff Department, and till today they didn't know what they were being stopped for. And they sicked the dog on him, and from that dog bit him so bad that you could tell. Some of the pictures are graphic. You could tell how bad it was. And they went. The father contacted me. Went and to file a complaint, and they would not accept the complaint.
Would not accept the complaint.
Would not accept the complaint.
What did they say when they refused to?
That it wasn't suffice enough. They don't know what else was going on, but he had written out a sentence, a statement, and they wouldn't even accept it. They wouldn't even accept it. And so from that, you have no other avenue but to just take your beating and just go with it, just roll with it.
Well, and can you give me the approximate time frame for these most recent ones? Because I say most recent because I know that was a pandemic problem under Sheriff Ackle, who was the predecessor of Sheriff Romero. Am I correct on that?
Right.
So, what you're saying is it didn't just end when Ackle?
No.
Wow.
It sure didn't. And I had some pictures dealing with Sheriff Ackle and stuff like that. But it didn't end with him.
It did not. Okay.
No, it did not. It did not. If anything, it helped it to escalate, but a more sophisticated type of escalation. You got to file a complaint. You got to go to this person send you to this person, and it's just a whole discouraging mockery that they put you through. And you also have to remember too that people do have a fear of police officers, particularly those of us colored.
Sure.
We do have a fear. We do have a serious fear.
Absolutely. And Sheriff Ackles, and he's a former state police trooper, and a number of sheriffs are former state police, and we're seeing all kinds of problems in state police right now with regard to that very subject matter.
I have this article where Chad Hazelwood Sr. Was a state trooper with the Louisiana State Troopers. His son, Chad Hazelwood Jr., he was also a police officer, and you had cases where they would go in the different neighborhoods and beat up on people and things like that. Well, one time he went to a Deshauna Mallory home, and I have the newspaper clipping, so maybe you could take a picture of it. Went to Deshauna Mallory home, and she had the door halfway open, so he asked for a guy. And so she said, well, I don't know who that is. And she started to dial her mama. He said, open up the door, open the door. I'm coming in, I'm coming in. So he broke the door, broke the latch that's off the door. And she is like saying, get out of here, get out of here. And he whipped her. He whipped her really bad. Then after beating her, now you're talking about Chad Hazelwood. He was about 280 pounds at that time, and this was this young girl, Deshauna Mallory, and I have the newspaper clippings of that. And right at, I mean, he beat her and stuff like that. Then he had the audacity to charge her with several crimes on a police officer. Mind you, a police officer that's at the wrong address, a police officer who didn't take your word saying, well, no, I even though you say you don't know him, I'm still coming in. And that's the case. So it took about a year. Deshauna finally had a chance to go to court, and we held protests on behalf of her. Finally get a chance to go to court, and all of the charges was dropped against her.
Wow. What does that tell you? What
does that tell you? Not only that, but even though the charges was all dropped against her, remember, Chad Hazelwood Jr., he still was in the police department. You know, so as we speak today, he is an alderman in the city of Lurville, Louisiana.
Okay.
He's an alderman, but before that, when you read up some of his history, he was suspended for running through people's license plate without the authority, without proper authorization, because they had some type of network where, you know, police officers could do that.
They do, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we've covered a couple of features with regard to that. One being Murphy Painter. Now, that was a very lengthy series that we did. He was acquitted on everything. Now, he was trying to assist people. He was not using the database for ulterior purposes. But the other feature dealt with a LSP trooper by the name of Robert Burns. No relation, I have to keep stressing that, no relation whatsoever to this Robert Burns.
Yes.
But he was running the searches in basically harassing, or at least allegedly harassing, his ex-wife, with whom he was going through a very bitter divorce on. So you're correct. That database is only supposed to be strictly for law enforcement purposes, for legitimate law enforcement purposes. But I can just tell you from what came out in the trial. In fact, I don't mean to. I'll go back to you in just a second. But Mike Fowler, the defense attorney from Murphy Painter, said, "Let's get one thing really clear. The jury's hearing all of this." He said, "We're going to address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. The officers have this capability on their mobile devices." And they said, and what happens is every time a police officer finds out that his daughter has a new boyfriend, they run a check to make sure that there's no problems with that boyfriend. So your point is well taken, that that database can be used for some very convenient purposes. So.
Right. And not only that, but then they know this has happened. And what do? Just give him a little slap on the wrist. And then what's pragmatic is that as taxpaying citizens, you know, our monies is completely being robbed for wrong intentions.
Amen.
Even when you look at all of the different lawsuits that we've had dealing with Iberia Parish, look how much it costs the tax-paying citizens.
It's been in the millions. It has been in the millions.
Yes, and I have copies of that. And what we're saying is that there's no repercussion for that. You know, Louis Ackle, he was able to get from under the offices of going to jail, and at the same time, some of his officers. And let me reiterate. There were several of the officers that told the truth and nothing but the truth, and yet they the one that got found guilty when they were only obeying what the real sheriff was having them do.
Well, and the ultimate deal, Sheriff Ackle to literally exit the courtroom and say, "Well, I've got to go clean some things up." Well, the reality is, I'm a big believer in the Harry Truman philosophy, which is the buck stops here.
Yeah.
So, even if you wanted to try to say, somehow he managed, I wasn't at the trial, but, the newspaper accounts say that he was able to successfully somehow make it like he didn't know all this was going on.
Yes. Yes.
So that's awfully difficult to believe.
But it is really hard to believe, but then when you look at the connection itself, his attorney, Ted Hite, big time law attorney, had the opportunity to change it from Lafayette, when they went all the way to Shreveport.
Yes, indeed, Shreveport.
And to me that was like letting you know right then and there. This was going to be he was going to be found not guilty. And so the problem with him being found not guilty is that these other officers that was under him, they didn't just arbitrarily done that. They done that because he gave them an order to do that. And now they are convicted felons because they actually went to jail. They didn't do a whole lot of time. I think no more than about a couple of years at the most and stuff. But they have to register as a convicted criminal. And at the same time, he's scot-free.
He's scot-free, yes. Well, Sister Khadijha, I want to thank you. If you have any other concluding remarks you'd like to make, feel free. And then I have one last thing I want to say about your hospitality, so you go ahead.
Right. Well, I also want to say that we had Mad Dog from Iberia Parish. They would call him Mad Dog, Dog Feast. They call him Dog Feast.
Okay.
And his real name is Troy Willis. Okay, Troy Willis would come into our neighborhoods and he would beat up on people. And Troy Willis and there's another bodyguard. I can't think of his name offhand, but then they all were in cahoots together. Each and every one of them has gotten a better job. They have done this and they have done that. So sometimes they do pay you just to sit low and watch what's going to go ahead and happen. When they had that opening, the grand opening in New Iberia for the new sheriff facility, there was this officer that was on the second floor. His name was Smits. Smits was involved with the killing of Victor White Jr.
Go ahead.
You're right. He was involved in the killing of Victor White Jr. along with Justin Ortiz, who was in Youngsville. And then you see how they rotate them. They bring them around the different areas, and that's still a major problem. How you have somebody like that, but you pay attention to where the bucks is at. You get commitment for saying, well, I'm going to protect and serve. No matter how corrupt it may be, I'm going to do that.
I understand, and you bring up an excellent point, and we have previously provided a feature involving Victor White's father and the video that he did with MSNBC. So we're going to bring that video as well on part of your feature that we're airing today. We're going to repeat that video to be right beneath yours. So I think for anyone who may not be familiar with Victor White and the circumstances, it'll bring you up to speed. And I think you'll find that our viewers will find that case very compelling because briefly it was alleged that while he was handcuffed in the back of a squad car, he chose to take his own life by shooting himself in the back. That's the official version. Obviously, his father strongly refutes that version and says that he was called literally the day that it happened and said he needed to head on over to the New Iberia area. So let me just say this. I have had an awful lot of invited guests on my show or on Sound Off. I say I'm a one-person operation, but I can remember Betty Jo's story many years ago, about 6 years ago, She's 83. She was a victim of the auctioneer's licensing. Well, she was a victim of an auctioneer, and I was very frustrated that the auctioneer licensing board did not do anything. And so she graciously invited me out to eat at Steamboat Bill's. But I want you to know this is a first for Sound Off, Louisiana. Sister Khadijha, the first question she asked when I was coming over, she said, "Well, shall I prepare a meal?" And we're meeting at 1 o'clock, and I told her I couldn't hold in quite that long, so I would nibble on something. But if she had something, I sure wasn't turning it down. So as soon as I came in the door, I could see things going on that. You may even be able to hear it if you got great hearing. So I am fixing to enjoy some steak and rice and gravy, or rice and white beans, and I just can't. Nobody's ever done that.
Yes.
So thank you for your hospitality. I'm told that when you're from Lauraville, that's just the way things work.
That's just the way, yes, it is.
So thank you so much. We also have some other material that Sister Khadijha has provided to us. We're going to have to do a little bit more work on that material, but we're going to be back. This will not be a one and done. So I want to thank you so much for agreeing to appear on Sound Off Louisiana today. I think you have provided very compelling material. I'm sure you have quite an audience on your show, because as I heard numerous times, the phone lines are blowing up.
Yes. And I have one little tidbit I wanted to get it.
Sure, go ahead. Take your time. Take your time. It's all home folk watching, so you just take your time.
Right here.
Oh, okay.
Right here. I don't know if you could see it, but.
Oh, we'll get it. All right, just 1 second. Y'all have to forgive me. I can't wear my contact this week. I will be in Houston the latter part of the week, hoping that we can remedy that. Okay, 2014. I'm having to look real close into the lens. Sunrise, November 13th, 1994. Sunset, July 21st, 2020.
Yes.
And unfortunately, can you move it just a tad, because I think there we go. There we go. That's better. Lauraville High School, 2014. Wow. RMP, or rest in peace. Shaba, S-H-A-B-B-A?
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yes, Bonnet, and that's my grandson.
Oh my goodness.
And he was arrested for child support payment of a child that he was already taken care of in the height of COVID. They arrested him and brings him to Iberia Parish Jail. He was there for about a week. In a couple of days, we were getting him out. Come to find out, when we were getting ready to get him out, they didn't even call the mother or the father to tell him that, oh, he apparently hung himself. The mother was there, Walita was there to go and get her son out of jail, and Iberia Parish Jail, and they claimed that he hung himself. He had four beautiful children, and I have the kids right there. Four beautiful children and everything, have everything going for him, and all of a sudden he apparently committed suicide, which we know they will lie about that. So we're in the process of still fighting this, you know. So I just wanted to close with, I just had to close with that.
Sure.
And everything, and then I'm gonna show you the rest of my other things that I have.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and y'all be thinking about me as I enjoy that nice steak and hospitality. And like I said, we're going to have Sister Khadijha back again. I can guarantee you that. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. Thank you.